Hey guys, Aaron here, Brick Kiwi or Slaanesh Devotee, trying out Imotekh the Stormlord, who has an interesting combat action. He can get rid of a card in a discard pile to switch its text box with the same type of card in the game. And I'm up against Eldorath Starbane, core set Eldar Warlord, who is able, after he commits to a planet, he can exhaust something at the planet. Planet 1 is Karnath, then Aatrox Prime, which you can use to defeat a swarm, shoot a swarm, Osis to take a resource, Planum to move a unit, and Yavahn to put a unit into play. So red wins by Yavahn, blue wins by Planum, green wins by Yavahn. So there's a lot of icons out here. I've got my signature unit, I've got a couple of good text boxes to swap around, but I've got too many factions to really be reliable, so I mulligan. And Serpico's jumping in there. He's got a Balepan Guardians, which is a 1 cost, 2 command, 1 attack, 1 hit point, ally treated Eldar unit. Nice and simple, really good for getting himself some command there. I'm set on Astra Militarum, and now I'm having a look at what my mulligan has brought me. I've got my signature support card, so I'm having a bit of a read of that because I haven't really looked at it very often. I've got an Orc, I've got a Dark Eldar, I've got an Imperial Guard, and a couple of Necrons, so a few different things here. So what I've done with this deck is I've included a few units that have really potent text boxes. I've included a few simple command cappers with good text boxes. So the signature support is 1 cost Imotekh Royal Crypt. It's a location. After the opponent sets their command dial, exhaust the support to name a planet. If it turns out that they've gone to that planet, deal 1 damage to 1 enemy unit at that planet and each adjacent planet. He puts out a Webway Passage, which has 1 cost, deploy action, exhaust to switch the location of 2 army units, which is a nice simple moving around effect. The Royal Crypt is supposed to show how Imotekh is this great planner, and how he can sort of create problems for his opponent, and having it out first thing is interesting. I'll see what sort of effect I've got. As I said, so my 1 cost units are generally quite potent and often with good text boxes, and my higher cost units are either negative text boxes, which I want to blank or replace with something good, but that often means they have really good stats, or they have a really good text box that I want to use on other units potentially after they've died. So I go with a Talon Raiders, 1 cost, 1 command, 0 attack, 2 hit points, but plus 2 attack if at a planet with a Warlord, and so really hopeful that I put them on planet 1 thinking they're either going to get killed there or they're likely to die along the way pretty soon, and then I can use their effect out of the discard pile on something else and give it a boost with my Warlord. So he followed up with another Balepan Guardians. I'm going with a Court of the Stormlord. I'm not going to put too many eggs onto planet 1. I do want to get a bit of a roll going. The Court of the Stormlord is my signature unit, 3 cost, 1 command, 3 attack, 3 hit point. If I remember correctly, it's off the screen already. And it allows you to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put 1 at the bottom of your deck, put 1 at the top of your deck, and put 1 in the discard pile. So I discard the Talon Raiders. They have a text box that could be useful for me. I put my Court of the Stormlord down at the bottom because I'm not too worried about getting those, but what I really like is a Imotekh complex going on the top of the deck, which you don't put, you just need to close it and it'll be on the top of the deck. Because I looked rather than searched. So now I know I'm going to get some economy coming on my next card. And oh no, I hope I didn't stay with that. I've put out a Slith Mercenary, but yes, good, I've seen. I can't do that actually, because I've only got Astra Militarum Enslaved. Too used to playing Nahumech, clearly. So I can't put them out. I get my resource back, and instead I'm just done there. And I am looking for planet 4. I'm wanting to discount or cancel his command. Planum would be a useful planet to win if I can. If I win with my Talon Raider, sweet, I get a planet straight away, a couple of icons straight away. If he goes there and kills it, I get a bit of a bonus down the line. So he's committed his Warlord, and I use my Royal Crypt, and I think he's going to go to Karnath, to Planet 1. So I figure if he does go there, I manage to ping him and ping the Beltane Guardians on Planet 2. But he doesn't, he's actually gone to Aatrox, which is interesting. He was already winning command there. But that means I don't think he has any good movement effects necessarily. I mean, he might have some with Eldorath having mobility or foretell or a couple of options. But that should mean I get Planet 1. So I draw 2 cards and 2 resources while he takes 1 card and 1 resource, so that's pretty good command there so far. He exhausts the Court of the Stormlord, and we go to Planet 1. He says he's got nothing, and so yep, I win Planet 1. Oh right, Planet 1 is Karnath allowing me to decide what do I want to move where. And I decide I would like to trigger Planum straight away, and I'll put the Raiders onto another planet to collect command. I decide for Osis, because Osis is going to become important along the way, and I don't actually mind them dying because I want to be able to put that text box onto something like, if I could put them onto the Court of the Stormlord, that's impressive. So, we get to Aatrox. He takes a swing with his Beltane Guardians, a simple little swing of 1. I'm trying to do the maths of these little guys attacking me. How long can I survive? And I take the hit. He sends another swing in with Eldorath. I decide to shield that one. So I'm now 3-2. We stand. And he's left his arrows up. Just a suggestion, when you're playing on Octagon, clear out your targeting, clear out your arrows as soon as they're not relevant, as soon as they've been used. They just clutter up the board, otherwise it's hard to tell what you're doing. So he decides to stay. I just want to check if he's got any actions first. In that case, I would like to use my Warlord ability to discard a non-elite, non-unique card from my deck to put that text box onto that unit. So I am now a attack 5 unit at a planet with a Warlord. I do have a recycle that I can use to survive a little bit longer. I don't really want to use it. I'd like to actually use the recycle as an actual recycle effect, but it does mean I can potentially swing for 10 against him. So now, he's left his arrow up, so I wasn't sure what he was doing. This is why it's good to clear off the arrow. So I shield the Guardians, I guess? I guess I'm shielding the Guardians? I feel like it's bad etiquette to undo his arrows for him. They're his, but I couldn't tell what was going on. So I swing at Eldorath for 5. He uses a Gut and Pillage to shield one of those, and then I think he's able to kill me. No. Have I taken... Now I've taken 2 damage. Yeah, okay. He decides to retreat with his Warlord, which seems sensible, but unfortunately I just don't have the shields, and it seems a waste to let him kill the Court of the Stormlord with his Beltane Guardians. He has a Gut and Pillage, so he gets a bunch of resources. There we go. For winning his red planet, which is very good, very nice. And then he's going to shoot me in the HQ and kill my Stormlord Court. It's an awkward thing to say. But then I'm on Planum. And if he hadn't killed the Court of the Stormlord, it would have been really nice to move them back onto Planet 1 or something to have initiative. But unfortunately I can't use Planum at the end of all that. But I inflicted a pretty nasty hit onto Eldorath, so hopefully that'll be useful. And we swing into turn 2. Now, looking at my enslavement dial, I've got 2 units here, so I might as well go for the Dark Eldar pretty quickly. I'm trying out the Apoka Necrodermis. I've only got 1 copy of that, I think, which is a pretty incredible last-ditch survival card. So I'm looking at my various options here. I've got a few resources. I've got some cheap units in the Dark Eldar, and I have got a Imotekh complex which should allow me to fuel up my resources if I need them. So the treacherous Lamian, being able to blank her or use her in the right position is my hope there. So Imotekh complex, a limited 1-cost support. When you play a unit that you do not already have the faction symbol in play, so if you play your first Tau, your first, in this case, Dark Eldar unit, the reaction in the complex allows you to draw a card or take a resource. So Serpico puts a Warlock Destructor in for 2 cost, 3 attack, 4 hit points, but they have the reaction as soon as the deploy phase begins you must pay a resource or discard the unit. But he puts it right down the line, so he's going to have to pay at least 2 resources if that thing survives. It seems unusual to play it down the line unless you really had to, but he's only got a few cards, so potentially he did have to, and that was all he had. So, Treacherous Lamian, nope, changed my mind. I nearly got it, but decided not to in the end. Well, what am I going to do here? Lots of options. I go for the Praetorian Ancient. Okay, so that's a 4 cost, it's non-unique Necron unit. 1 command, 3 attack, 4 hit points. However, once you have 6 units in your discard pile, and I'm throwing units in there to be able to use my Warlord ability, it gains +2 attack and Armor Bane. So it's a decent unit by itself, but also it's got a really great text box to throw onto other units. And now I decide I'm going to use the Treacherous Lamian for 2 cost, 4 attack, 1 hit point but no command. Because I'm not a Dark Eldar Warlord, it has Armor Bane, but also once it's destroyed I have to sacrifice another unit at that planet. So it's good to have by itself on the first planet like this. The Viper is a 5 cost elite Eldar vehicle. It has mobile, so it can shift between planets before the combats begin. 5 attack, 4 hit points, and I think 2 command icons. And it also follows any unit that moves from one planet to another. So it's really incredibly mobile. He hadn't done anything before I remembered my complex, which I always forget. I've got to get into a better habit with these complexes. So I'm just going to check with him. Nothing really should change. Do you mind if I trigger my complex now? I think the problem is they don't actually exhaust, I believe. After you deploy, yeah, it doesn't actually exhaust, and so it doesn't remind me to do it, you know? Something about exhausting things I would remember. So I've got another Lamian, but I can't afford it. He's done, which means I can put my Slith in for safety. 1 cost, 2 command, 2/2. Great unit, but of course he can buy it if it's at a planet for a cost of 2 resources. So it's good value for money, good stats for money, and if I can blank that text box, if he hasn't bought it by combat phase, it's a good one to copy, to blank, or change at least. So he's checking if he can buy it now, but he can't because he's already passed his ability to use actions. So I get to at least get the command out of my Slith Mercenary before he buys it if he wants it. So he's chosen his Warlord destination. Yep, and so I use my Royal Crypt to suggest that Eldorath is going to go to Planet 1, I'm thinking. I myself am going to Planet 1 because I want to keep initiative, and the sacrifice effect of the Lamian doesn't affect Warlords. But again, he goes to Planet 2, which is fine by me. I exhaust the Talon Raiders. I win on Taurus and Planet 1, but the Praetorian Ancient and the Warlock Destructor have equal command. But he should be winning Planet 2. He's calling for actions, but the action window is after you collect your income from the planets. So the Slith Mercenary was perfectly safe. I don't have a risk of him being able to interrupt that. So that's something you have to sort of get your head around with Conquest, is figuring out when you're able to do things. Becomes quite important. He took a card and 3 resources, it appears, whereas I took 2 cards and 2 resources, fairly balanced. And then he buys the Mercenary. He doesn't want me to keep that at all, which, to be honest, that's fine. Right, so we go to battle at Aatrox Prime. He does have the ability to use mobile. But he decides against it. Which is fine. I think he realised that my Lamian with Armor Bane and Initiative would actually kill the Viper instantly. Alright, so 4 attack, kill it. And use Aatrox Prime to fire at Planet 2, I guess. Yep, he's got no action, so that's cool. Fire at Planet 2. Wild Rider takes damage, Eldorath takes damage, so Eldorath, I believe, is on 5 damage at this point. I'm pretty pleased with that. Alright. And I now have 2 red and 2 blue icons. I can win on Planum, I can win on Yavin, I can win on Taurus, potentially. Swings with the Viper, takes out the Talon Raiders, that's fine. And then I don't believe I have anything else I'm going to do. Nope. So he steals a resource from me. He's got a lot of resources, he does, which is a bit of a concern. At least he's got a Warlock Destructor out, which means he's going to lose some resources. Anyway, it's going to be paying for that a bit. So I just make sure he remembers, yep, loses 1 resource, which means he only has 10. Holy heck. It's a lot of resources. So, now I need to set my enslavement dial, and I need to think carefully about what factions do I want to put out. Orcs, I've got a Snakebite that can have a pretty good effect. The Wraith Blades are just really solid units, and then if I can use their text box on anyone else, brilliant. But before I've done that, he's attached a same-hand jetpack to his Warlocks, so I'll talk to that in a moment after I've actually decided what my enslavement dial will go to. And I'm going for the Orcs. I want to put out my Snakebite. So the same-hand jetpack, 2 cost attachment on any army unit, exhaust the attachment to move that unit to a planet with the same colours, and deal 1 damage to an army unit at that planet. And I decide to go for recycle, see what else I can dig out. I get rid of the Lamian, I don't really want it, and I get rid of 1 of the Wraith Blades because that will allow me to use its text box. Recycle, great card. You discard 2 cards and draw 3. Just like that. Swap those 3, recycle, and it helps. So I've got another Drudgery, which is quite nice. So because I'm trying to put so many different factions into the discard pile, I thought having Drudgery as a limited card that can bring them back out would be quite effective, or potentially quite effective. He puts his 3rd and presumably final Baal-Tan Guardians right down on the end. He's got a lot of really good command out there at the moment. I've got a few different units, but I can't use any of them. I can only put out my Snakebite Thug. So there we go. Snakebite, I put it onto Plenum because I want to make Plenum as strong as possible. I do not mind losing Osis. That allows me to trigger my Celtic complex, so I take another card. And now I've got a heck of a lot of Astra Militarum, which should be helpful next turn. He puts another Warlock Destructor down on that planet. I'm making sure we don't have Iridial in play, because I do not want him to be able to heal his Warlord. And I'm done. I've got no other real options at this stage. And he uses his Webway to put the Warlock onto Planet 1 and a Viper onto Planet 2. Which is a really good move. Keeping the Viper on Planet 2 is something you certainly want to be rolling along. You can always mobile it to Planet 1 if you need to, but it stays ready for the next turn as long as you can. So I'm going to go to Planet 5, I want some more cards, and I'd like to cancel his good command down there. Nope, I've changed my mind, Taris instead. Oh, I think for a moment I thought it was Iridial, and I thought he was going to go there. But then I decided maybe he's going to Plenum, because he wants to get the battle going on at that stage. But I was wrong, he went to Balas actually. So I go to Planet 4. He goes to Planet 5. I'm happy, I don't want any battles happening on Planet 2, which they're not, so I'm totally okay with that. I only win one command in this setup, which is pretty bad, pretty uncomfortable for me. He gets 3 cards, 3 resources. So what am I getting? 1 and 1? He should be getting Planet 2. Which he did. 2 resources, 2 cards, and then a 1 and a 1. Yeah, he did that. He shouldn't get Planet 2? Oh no, I've forgotten he swapped. I misread what I wrote there. You shouldn't get Planet 2. It's not another Warlock, so it's not 2 command units, it's 3 command units. He's got more command than me there, so it's fine. There we go. I corrected myself, I got there in the end. Just got a little confused. So 1 and 1, I get another Court of the Stormlord, which is not the end of the world, it's fine. Alright, so battle at Planet 1. I'm not doing anything. I got nothing. Okay, so he stole a resource. Okay, over to Planet 4, Taris. I'm not using any actions. He's not using any actions, so I'll swing for 2. He shields one of them, so he's going to survive. He's going to be able to swing back at me with 2 attack, which is a bit rough. 1 damage onto the Slith. And I wasn't expecting that. He uses this jet mic to move the Destructor over to fight me. Now that's actually a major concern, really major. It also does a point of damage, the jet mic, as it moves over. So I have to decide whether or not to shield that. But in the end, I don't think there's really a lot of point, because he could swing with the Slith as well. Yeah. So I take out the Vamian, and then he swings for 2 on my Warlord. And then he's going to be able to swing for another 3. Taris, I do have fewer units, but I don't think I'm going to be able to trigger it. At least he can't trigger it against me. So I take the 2 damage from the Slith. And all 3 of the damage from the Warlock Destructor. Oh, I'm living on the edge. And then I run. I retreat. I'm out of that. Clear his arrows again. And so he wins Taris this time round. Alright, finally we're on to Balus. Oh, no trigger of Taris. Yep, no actions on Balus. Yeah, and he triggers that. Random discard, get rid of a Mystic Warden, which is fine. So I'm using them because, again, they've got a negative text box, so 0 cost, 2/2, that I can put some other text into, potentially. The Stalking Urgul, again, they've got a negative text box. They don't damage Warlords or undamaged army units very well. But if I blank that, suddenly they're a 5/3 with something decent. I mean, it could be a 7/3 if I use the Talon Raiders ability on them. So there's some good options. Rattling Deadeye, see, good text box. Give something ranged and get rid of its negative. Nice and simple. Another Coppery of Drudgery, which they're both limited, so you can only play 1 at a time, 1 per turn, which is frustrating, but the Urgul can be used for them, the Lamian can be used for them, so I can get some pretty effective use out of them, I think. What am I going to go here? Astra Militarum for a lot of small units. I really kind of want to win this first planet. Yep, I'm going Astra Militarum. I want bodies. Potentially Dark Eldar would have been better. The Urgul would have been good. And then I could have used Drudgery to bring in the Lamian once all the army units were dead. So I throw a Mystic Warden onto planet 2. Why have I done that? That seems like a bad place to put one. Draw another card, get a signature event, which allows me to steal an enemy's text box instead of from my discard. He puts out his signature support, the Imotekh Shrine, which is a 1-cost location that allows you to ready a unit as when it moves to another planet. And just reminding him, he's got 2 destructors out, so he actually has to pay 2 resources. But he's got 12, so he's fine with it. Yeah, no, he's only got 10. Oh dear. Alright, so Rattling Deadeye onto planet... Oh, why did I not decide to go for planet 1? Did I not think I could storm planet 1? Why am I not trying to get planet 1 with these guys? The extra bodies on planet 1, I could... Oh, why am I doing this? Trying to make it go longer than it needs to. The Rattling Deadeye, 1 cost, 1 command, 1/1, but ranged. He puts out a Void Pirate, which is a 1 cost bonus card guy. Put another Talon Raiders out myself. I really feel like I should have put all them on planet 1. I've still got 4 resources left, so I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to put out the Court of the Stormlord. Ooh, Mighty Wraith Knight, 5 cost elite, 2 command, I believe, 5 attack, 5 hit points. After it enters play, it exhausts every other unit at the planet, except other Wraith constructs, but basically everything else exhausts. Wow, I don't know how I got so lucky to be putting everything on planet 2. That was a fluke and a half. Wow. Excellent. Planet 1 is pretty unlikely to be won by me at this point. Yeah, not much I can think of to do about that. And then he swaps the Wild Rider Viper down the line, because it's exhausted, I guess. And puts a Slith onto planet 1. I'm not really sure what the purpose to that is, just to make sure he's got a bit of a stronger presence on planet 1, maybe? The Viper... Oh... The Viper is now on a planet with a unit with a jet bike, so it can move to any other planet, or any other green and red planet, which covers all the rest of the planets. So that's what it is. He puts an Incubus Warrior against me, which equalizes my command. So really good, solid counter command strategy there. I chose my commit for my Warlord. I didn't actually look at it, so I can't remember what I got. Probably, I'm assuming, Planet 4, possibly Planet 2. He's chosen where to go, so I think he's going to go to Yavin. Okay. But no, he goes to Balus, which is where I went. That's what I chose. Interesting choice. He's taking a Warlock way down the line, which is interesting. He's not going to be able to do much with the Warlock down there. Perhaps he's hoping to win Planum and send the Planum. So he gets just a huge amount of command, and I'm commenting brutal. I get none of it. So in the last 2 turns I've had a really poor command, and he's a really solid. And that's allowed him to put out some really solid units as well. So let me just see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units in the discard pile, which means my Praetorian Agent is turned on, and when it dies I can use it to turn on something else potentially. Alright, so battle at Planum. Technically I have initiative, but of course everything's exhausted because of that Wraith Knight. So I'm just looking at the stats of the Praetorian Agent. It is now a 5 attack, 4 hit point armor bane unit, which is pretty decent for 4 cost. Mercenary takes a swing at my Thug. Wraith Knight takes a swing at the Praetorian, which basically just has to die. But again, that's alright, that means its stats are in there and I can use them potentially. Oh, sorry, its text boxes in there. The Thug, I'm done, but for some reason he's still got an arrow on me. So the Thug, again, see, look at that, 2 cost for a 3-4. That's just good stats if you can give it something like the Rattling's ranged. Suddenly it's a 3-4 with ranged for 2 cost. It's great. If I can give it the Talon Raiders, make it a 5-4 with the Warlord goes there, you know. It's just got good options. He decides he doesn't want me to ready the Snakebite at all, so he's brought the Warlock down, which pings me for 1 damage. And then he swings, which is going to finish me off. There we go. And so he's won. He's got Planet 1. He's done. And he uses it to shift the Wraith Knight onto Planet 2, which is going to be awkward to deal with. And I realise that now he's got 2 green, so that means the next planet is going to be final for both of us. We both need to win the next planet, or the other player will win. So everything else becomes just useless. I decided to use up one of my drudgeries, because you can only use 1 per turn anyway, and I have initiative. Why did I do that? Oh, because I've got Astra Militarum. I can only use Astra Militarum to bring into play. Obviously, using a Lamian would have been fantastic right now. Getting an initiative 4 attack armor bane swing on the Warlord that's nearly completely wiped out. Beautiful. But instead, it's going to have to be a 4 attack armor bane, because I'm going to give him that text box. So 2 plus 2 is 4, and armor bane. And there should be 6 now. In fact, I think there should be 7 now. No, I just drudgeried 1 out and discarded another, so it should be exactly 6. Yep. Alright. So there we go. Swing 4 Armor Bane on Eldorath. Boom. Bloodied him. Good stuff. Happy with that. Now, what am I going to get out of this? This is going to be the tricky part. He's going to attack for 1. He attacks my Warlord. I decide to throw a signature unit to defend that. Now he's all wiped out, so I'm going to swing probably on the Warlock. Would be the better idea, I feel. Because I really need to make sure it's... No, I go for the Guardians, alright. 2 attack on 1 hit point, more likely to kill it. I do. Everything stands up. And he runs away with that Warlord. Now, because normally the... what is it? Mystic Warden? Is that what it's called? Normally that would... He discarded a Wild Rider Viper, that's good. Normally the Mystic Warden would discard itself at the end of a combat, but that part of the text was blanked until the end of the combat phase, so it doesn't. It just stays there. Which is quite nice. 0 cost useless unit at the end, but whatever. Now, so... I've got a couple of choices here. What do I want to do? So he's got 2 Warlocks. He pays for them both still. Okay. I've got 2 Dark Eldar units. I've got an Orc. I've got an Eldar. I've also got a Drudgery, and I need to make sure it's matched up to what do I want to be pulling out of the discard. I go with Dark Eldar. I want the Dark Eldar. And it is his choice first. His action first. He begins with the Rogue Trader down at Barless, where my little unit is actually completely commandless, so that's a really good move for him. I put out the Stalking Urgol, 3 cost, no command, 5/3, which is not terrible stats. It cannot take attachments, and it cannot attack, or it cannot damage, I can't remember which, Warlords or undamaged units. So it's got reasonable stats for crappy negative text, but that's what makes it great for my Imotekh purposes. Again, I check if he can let me have the complex. Oh, just dreadful, just dreadful. Can I have a resource? Terrible, terrible behavior. Bad habit. I need to get out of that habit. But he is very kind to me, letting me do it. Oh, terrible. And after some thinking, he decides he's got no further actions. So I can put out a Slith, but he can buy it in the command phase. I decide to go for it, and I put it down on the end to cancel his Road Trader. Doesn't matter if he buys it after that. Then I use my Royal Crypt. He's got a whole lot of stuff he's bringing with him, so I'm assuming he's going to Taris, Planet 1. My Warlord is not bringing anything with him and is quite damaged, so I do have Necrodermis, which might come in handy. I might be able to use that, so I'm considering Planet 1. And he changes his Warlord destination, which I was quite surprised by, because I'd already used the Royal Crypt, which kind of required him to have made a decision, and I thought he had. My bad. I mean, he didn't confirm that he had, but it did make me go, well, okay, I have to redo everything now. So he's thought again, and so, okay, maybe he's going to Yavahn now instead. I thought he was going to Planet 2, but maybe he's going to Planet 1. And it turns out he's going to Planet 3. Okay. Alright, so I win Planet 1, he wins Planet 2 and 3. And that gives me 1 resource. Which is not that effective right now, actually. No command actions. Alright, so Yavahn. Does he want to mobile over? I'm assuming yes. Kinda needs to. Yep, there he goes. He's over to join the fight. Okay, I'm going to use my Warlord action now that we're in the combat phase. I am going to discard a Wraithblade. I could give something else Armor Bane, but then I would have to sacrifice something. So, yeah, I go with the Wraithblade. It readies, the text allows me to ready a unit after it's resolved its attack. So the Stalking Urgle will stand up as soon as it's swung for 5, which is pretty nice. And that also means its restriction on who it can attack is also wiped. So 2 for 1 there. He brings over his Warlock Destructor on its jet bike and uses that to ping the Deadeye. Good call, get rid of my ranged bonus. And then this is some good stuff I wasn't expecting. The Shrine. Exhaust the support to ready a unit after a unit moves to another planet. So he readies the Warlock on the jet bike, which was just very clever. It was a very good move. I still have the initiative though. Trying to decide what the best target is going to be for that Urgle. And then I decide the Viper. It's only got 3 hit points left. I'm swinging for 5, so that seems to me like a really solid attack. Yes, kill the Viper, and then the resolution of the attack allows me to stand the Urgle. Swings with the Wraith Knight for 5. I have no shields that are going to be worthwhile there, so kill the Urgle. I don't get the text out of it, but it did mean that it became a threat that he had to deal with. So that helps a little bit, I guess. Talon Raiders, better use them while my Warlord is available. Swinging for 2 attack on a 1 hit point Incubus Warrior unit. But he's got a 2 shield card available, which is a bit of a shame. He swings back at the Mystic, and I use Necrodermis to keep the Mystic alive, which seems very poor. Now, Necrodermis says when your Warlord is defeated, which I think I was taking to mean bloodied and about to be killed, but I think going from Hail to bloodied also counts as defeated, so I could have played it actually let the Mystic Warden die, wait for him to try and hurt my Warlord, and then played Necrodermis, which would have, I believe, completely healed my Warlord, and allowed me to swing a whole bunch more times to try and take things out. The Warden would have been dead, but the Incubus Warrior would have been alive in that case, so I would have had to take a hit of 3, probably on my Warlord at that point. The smart decision is to get my Warlord, because that neutralizes the Talon Raiders, makes them completely plain. But no, he goes for the Mystic Warden instead of that. Alright, everybody stands. No, before they all stand, I need to swing with the Warden, actually. I'm going to weaken the Wraith Knight and see if I can get rid of that. Alright, everybody stands. So first things first, I need to swing with the Raiders, because otherwise they become 0 if the Warlord is taken out. Oh yeah, no, that's fine. So I'm going to go for the Warlock Destructor. Goes for my Warlord, which is definitely the right move. Yeah, frustrating Necrodermis, I think, could have been useful there. Yeah, so the Talon Raiders are now nothing, they get killed. But I do have an action. I have one last action. Don't think it's going to be enough, but I do have one more action. Action before the combat round ends. There we go. So, kills the Raiders. Play Drudgery. And I'm going to get a Lamian. Cause some serious damage here. But he has nullified it. Nullify allows you, as a 0-cost event, to cancel an event played by your opponent by exhausting your Warlord, which he did. So my Lamian would have killed the Wraith Knight because it has Armor Bane, and then I had initiative on the next turn and it would have killed the Warlock Destructor, but instead he wins. He takes Yavin. Oh, I was thinking, you know, with that Lamian coming in at the last second there, I was thinking, yes, I've just managed to squeeze in here, but look, he had Gift of Isha. So he would have been able to bring back the Wraith Knight. Gift of Isha allows you to take the top Eldar unit from your discard pile back into the combat, and then it goes away at the end of the combat phase, but, you know, obviously on the last battle, that really doesn't matter. So I would have killed the Wraith Knight, and then he could have brought it back in immediately. Obviously, I don't think I had anything that would have been able to deal with that at that point. It would have exhausted my Lamian. Well, no, my Lamian would have been exhausted anyway, but he would have been ready and able to kill the Lamian before everyone readied, and my Lamian would have won the combat. Well, I hope you enjoyed seeing Imotekh the Stormlord, Apoka's Necron Warlord, in play. Some interesting ideas, some interesting things there. Let me know how you're going, if you're enjoying it, and I will see you again next time.